Now we're going to talk about measures of variability. Specifically, we're going to illustrate some measures of variability: the range, the average deviation, the variance, the standard deviation of a statistical data. And we're going to calculate the measures of variability of grouped and ungrouped data. So specifically, we're just going to focus on range, variance, and standard deviation. Range. The most basic measure of variability is the range. To compute for the range of a given data, we find the highest and the lowest score in the data, and then find the difference between these two values. So that's only the formula for the range. So the range is the difference between the highest and the lowest score. So what you're going to do is just going to identify the highest, and then you're going to identify also the lowest, and after identifying, you're just going to subtract them from each other. So first, for example, Mario's score are 10, 15, and 15 in the three basketball games. Here are the steps in computing for the range. So first is you're going to identify the highest score and the lowest score. So in the above, the highest score is 15 and the lowest score is 10. So ang pinakamataas na score is 15 and the lowest score is 10. Subtract the lowest score from the highest score. So 15 minus 10. 15 minus 10 is 5. So the range is 5. The range is used to measure the variability of a set of data. However, if the data has an outlier or the distribution of the most score are located close to the mean but has one extremely low or high score, the range will show a much larger spread of scores than what really exists. In this case, we would have to use other measures of variability. So score is, the range is just to show how far the highest and the lowest scores are, how far the range of the scores are. However, it is not a very good measures of variability used to be used when the scores are usually in the middle, and then there is a very low score and very high score, which are usually 1 or 2, and it is not the good time to use range. So there are other measures of variability just like variance and standard deviation. Variance is another measure of variability. It may also be considered as a mean. It is the average of the squared differences from the mean of the data. It is used for data in the interval of the ratio scales. In computing for the variance, the distance of the scores from the mean will be used. We can represent this deviation from the mean as x. Then, this is obtained by subtracting the mean from the raw score. So the formula for the mean difference or the deviation from the mean is x, which is the score, minus the mean. Next, we can now use the deviation from the mean in the formula for variance, representing variance as S2, which is equal to the summation of x squared over n, where x is the deviation from the mean. So recall that the S tells you to add, or this one, it should be the E, tells you to add the values indicated beside this symbol. So what are the steps in getting the variance? So this is the steps in getting the variance. We're going to use the scores of Mario, 10, 15, and 15. So there are 3 scores. The first thing you're going to do is to identify the mean. So first thing is to compute for the mean. So the formula is you're just going to add 10, 15 plus 15 divided by 3, which is equal to 13.33. So for the mean, just going to add all the scores and then divide it by the number of scores or by the number of data. So there are 3 scores, so it's divided by 3. So next thing you're going to do, it is better that you're going to do it in a table form because it is easier. So here, so this is a table form. So this is x, 10, 15, and 15. So these are the scores. And that the x bar or the mean is equal to 13.33. So next is you're going to get the deviation from the mean. So 10 minus 13.33 is equal to negative 3.33. So 15 minus 13.33, minus nyo lang po ito sa mean, itong mga scores, and then get the answer. After that, you're going to square. So you're going to multiply to itself. So this one squared is equal to 11.09. So 1.67 squared or equal to 1.67 times 1.67 is equal to 2.79. So the same process, tapos i-add nyo lang yung tatlo. So 11.09 plus 2.79 plus 2.79 is equal to 16.67. And then after that, after getting the sum, you're going to divide it by the number of data. So 1, 2, 3, so there are 3. So 16.67 divided by 3 is equal to 5.56. So this is the variance. So this is how the average mean, it's the difference between the distance from the mean. So the next thing we're going to do is the most used and the most acceptable. It's the standard deviation. The standard deviation is simply the most statistically useful measure of variability. The mean and the standard deviation are related. While the mean is the average of the score in the set, the standard deviation is the average of how far the scores are from the mean. Recall the formula for the variance. You can see that it is squared value, but the original score in your data are not squared values. To convert these squared values into the unit of original score, we get the square root of the variance. This is the standard deviation. The square root of the variance, that is the standard deviation. So what you're going to do is you're just going to square only the result in here. So you're going to get the square root of this one, 5.56. So the formula is s is equals to s squared, which is also equal to the square root of summation of x squared over n. So summation square root of s squared is equal to summation of square root of summation of x squared over n. Sorry for that. So we can simply say that the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. So itong standard deviation, square root lang siya nitong variance. So, of course, if you already computed for the variance of a set of scores, you do not have to compute the standard deviation using the long process. Simply find the square root of the variance. Let's go back to the Mario score in the basketball game. You have already computed for the variance of the scores, right? Then it will be easy to find the standard deviation. All you have to do is you're going to square root 5.56. So, square root of 5.56 is equal to square root of 5.56, it's 2.36 rounded off. So 2.36. So this is the standard deviation. It means that this is how far the scores are from the mean. So ibig sabihin kung malaki ito siya, ibig sabihin yung mga scores kalat-kalat. So, pero kung maliit siya, ibig sabihin yung scores are dikit-dikit lang. So, if the bigger it is, this more spread the score. But the smaller the standard deviation, the less spread the scores is. So, activity. So this is the activity. You're just going to the given are the scores of Maria, Rachel, Mike for the math, science, literature, and history class. So what you're going to do is compute for the range, variance, and standard deviation. So we'll start with Maria. So Maria is the score is 80, 85, 92, and 91. For the standard, for the range, all you have to do is you're just going to subtract the highest score for the lowest score. For this is for Maria. So the highest score for range. The highest score of Maria is 92 and the lowest score is 80. So, ang pinakamataas na score is 90, yung pinakamaliit is 80. 92 pala, tapos pinakamaliit is 80. So, the difference is 12. Therefore, the range is 12. Letter B for the variance. So, the variance, to make it easier, we're going to have to form a table. So first is X rather. It's right yung mga scores ni Maria 80, 85, 92, at 91. next, kukunin natin yung mean. So, to get the mean, add nyo lang divided by 4 because there are 4. So, the mean is 87. So, next, subtract nyo lang ito by 87. So, 80 minus 87 is negative 7. 85 minus 87 is negative 2. 92 minus 87 is 5. 91 minus 87 is 4. Ito, x squared, squared na lang natin to. So, negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Negative 2 times negative 2, it's 4. 5 squared is equal to 25. 4 squared is equal to 16. So, i-add lang natin to. 49 plus 4 plus 25 plus 16 is equal to 94. 94, to get the variance, s squared is equal to summation of x squared over n, which is equal to, ang summation ng x squared is 94 divided by 4. So 94 divided by 4, the answer is 23.5. So the variance is 23.5. To get the standard deviation, all you have to do is square root s is equal to s square root of x s squared, which is square root of 23.5, which is equal to square root of 23.5, 4.85. So 4.85. So standard deviation is 4.85. So that's how you're going to get the standard deviation, the variance, and the range, or the measures of variability. Thank you very much.